is deplorable. Not less than 6 of these illegal homes were uncovered and their owners apprehended in Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, and Kwara states in the last few months. In all of them, hundreds of victims, mostly young boys and girls, were put in confinements and chained to the spot. All the victims manifested signs of torture and abuse. The maltreatment of inmates of illegal correctional homes elicited national outrage. Many Nigerians have condemned the evil acts of the proprietors of such homes. Following the development, President Muhammadu Buhari enjoined the Nigeria police force to raid such illegal centers anywhere they exist throughout the country. Our focus today on Dateline 360 is to examine the proliferation of these illegal centers and what is necessary to dismantle them. Welcome to Dateline 360. Good to have you join us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Kaduna State Police Command evacuated about 300 persons from an illegal rehabilitation center in Rigasa, Igabi local government area. The center was sealed.
In chains and in pens, abandoned by their parents and dehumanized by their upkeepers, abused by fellow inmates and ignored by the outside world. This summarizes the fate that befell these inmates of an illegal rehabilitation center in Rigasa, Kaduna State. It was the first of such centers busted by the police in what has recently become a coordinated nationwide crackdown on such centers of abuse, guys.
Results of the much talked about Bayelsa and Kogi off-cycle governorship elections, as well as the rerun of some of the elections ordered by the courts in the two states, are being collated. Key stakeholders in the electoral process, including monitors and observers, described the November 16th governorship elections as an improvement over the previous ones, despite some infractions recorded during the exercise. The election management body, INEC, in its reaction, have expressed happiness that most voters who were willing to vote had the opportunity to do so. But INEC, however, expressed dismay despite the efforts of the Commission and the promises of the political parties to promote peaceful election in addition to signing of peace accords. There are reports indicating that the process was characterized by thuggery and violence in several places, with the loss of lives, which the Commission condemned in its entirety. Apart from that, there were reports of commencement of the exercise behind schedule in some polling units. So why are we still recording thuggery and violence in the electoral process 20 years after Nigeria returned to democratic rule? Does it mean that the political actors are still not learning lessons? Is it not high time we just jettison do-or-die politics? Is winner takes all syndrome responsible for this attitude? How do we change this narrative going forward? This is Kogi and Bayelsa Election Studio, and we are transmitting live from the network service of the NTA in Abuja. I am Omini Oden. Thanks for joining us this morning for the continuation of our live transmission of the elections across Bayelsa and Kogi states, where our team of reporters and our crew are there to bring Nigerians up to speed of developments. As usual, our team of analysts will take their place in the studio and we'll talk with them. We shall also, in the course of the program, link up with our studios in Yenegua and Lokoja to give updates on the coalition process at the INEC coalition centers. Before we link up with our studios in the two states, let me introduce our guests here in Abuja studio. First, I will begin with the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, AIG Austin Agbolaho. Thanks for joining us on the Decide Studio tonight.
Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers.
Also in the studio is Oluwole Osazi Uzi. Oluwole Osazi Uzi is the Director of Voter Education and Publicity of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Niyi Akinsiju is an investment analyst and also a public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure as always.
Jide Ojo, also a public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Nigerians. It's a pleasure to be here. Happy Sunday to everyone.
Well, if you go around the papers, electronic media, print media, social media, name it, there are a lot of reactions, backlash from yesterday. How it happened, it was successful, infighting, all, and then let me start with the umpire. What's the update?
Well, Dane, thank you. As you alluded to, the Commission did issue a statement yesterday night at the conclusion of the voting process, and we made our views known, where we reflected on the elections, and we're not so happy and condemned unequivocally the spate of violence and disruptions to the process. Our preliminary report shows that the Commission itself got a lot of things right. There was sufficient materials, but there was hampering of the distribution in some places, and we will continue to engage with the security agencies and to carry out an investigation into what happened in some of those places where there was disruption of the process. As you said, social media especially is awash with photographs and videos, the authenticity of some of which are doubted, and we'll probably have to investigate further, but some others are credible and in line with the reports we got in our situation room about disruptions of the process. We saw ballot papers and ballot boxes smashed, ballot papers scattered all over the place. In one particular one, we saw well-heeled person, let me put it that way, because there's a pickup of some armed people and a Lexus 5700 Jeep, which is not a cheap car, so that's why I say a well-heeled person will appear, who disrupted process in the place, and our monitors on ground confirmed similar incidences in a couple of places. We're collating these reports, and I want to see how it substantially affected the outcome of the result. We don't think it did, because collation has been concluded in local governments across the two states. And the collation officers, the presiding officers have reported, collation officers are conscious and aware of the consequences of collating results from dubious sources, or where the integrity is not guaranteed. For example, there were a couple of reports, I think 2 or 3, where materials were snatched, officials were taken away, literally kidnapped, and some people trying later on to bring those things into the process. I think it will sully the whole stream, and we will not accept that at all. So, by and large, the majority of places, things went smoothly, but a couple of places, for example, Tuoke, Ogwea local government area of Bayelsa state, were prevented from deploying. We're ready to go, and next thing we're prevented by community people, thugs, call them what you want, but we're prevented from deploying. In a particular instance, in one of the areas in the community said we should quote unquote settle. Some people who said we are youth said we should settle the community before we could continue with the process. So in this kind of things, you sit down, you negotiate with them, and try to talk to them and tell them the benefits of it, and it's for their own good. And so that's a broad overview, a better view of the process that we saw. It by and large, it was credible, it was good, but there were incidents of thuggery, incidents of violence, and disruption, otherwise from a few community connivance in 1 or 2 communities, and that was just totally unacceptable. But from your reports in the studio throughout yesterday, from reports of a lot of the people who were on ground, people were enthusiastic, they came out, they behaved peacefully, but you get thousands, literally thousands of people coming in. The next thing you see, a few people, 2, 3 people come and disrupt involving tens of thousands of people. It's just not right.
So what was the actual figure of INEC officials who have been kidnapped?
Well, as when I left the situation late yesterday night, we're still collating those figures. Until we complete the reverse logistics, we cannot say with certainty. We have to take stock. And fortunately, a couple of them that were feared kidnapped or were removed had regained their freedom, and a lot of the time we engaged the security agencies who were quite useful, overwhelming in one of the places, but generally they moved into action. One of my commissioners, for example, was stuck in Kogi, but an armored personnel carrier, a detachment of policemen came away, and things were...
But no contact yet has been made with the abductors or thereabouts?
No. I'm not aware of anybody in captivity. By the time we settle, we'll take stock. Until we take stock, we cannot say, because the supervisors will now take stock where all your officers, there are 4 polling officials in each unit, the presiding officer and 3 assistants at least, minimum. So the supervisor who's responsible for a group of units will probably go around and everybody's there. So we have to keep reporting and escalate that. Until we do that, we heard tens of thousands of people. Until we do that, we cannot say for sure, but we don't think, as of now, I don't think anybody is still in captivity for officials.
Okay, before we get to Yenegua, let's get an update too from AIG.
Well, like we all noticed, even statement from INEC indicated an impressive turnout. The role of the security performed excellently well. You heard him now. The speculations of abduction of some staff and materials, but I want to assure you and I want to confirm that such persons have regained their freedom. And in terms of the infractions, I want to tell you that at the end of the whole thing, we always come out with our report, and that is when it will be most convenient to see exactly the true position. But I want to assure you that the situation all over is calm, because collation through the night we monitored has been very peaceful, and up to this moment from the local government areas, men are escorting them to the state in INEC headquarters where possibly the final results will be collated and announced. But basically, I want to assure you that, or rather I want to confirm that between 1900 hours, that is 7 p.m. yesterday and this morning, we've not heard of any, incident of violence.
Okay. If Nnamdi is ready, let's go to Yenegua for an update from Nnamdi.
And your guest in the studio. We're reaching you live from the state headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission here in Yono, Bayelsa State. Of course, like you're already aware, we are slated to begin proceeding here for a state coalition of votes, which of course will be coming from the 8 local governments that participated in the state governorship elections here in Bayelsa State. We are just about set to begin in the next couple of minutes. Proceedings should begin at the media center where the chief collation officer, I beg your pardon, would take precedence or would take control of proceedings there. If you can see from our screens already, I would ask the director to just take you to the media center. You'll notice that already political party agents are taking their seats. We have other people already also in the media center. Of course, these are people who are relevant to the proceedings that will be taking place today. It's a very peaceful and calm atmosphere here. In the process of this election, and then we expect that it would, just as all the processes or stages were progressive, we expect that these would be progressive and we can come to a logical conclusion. Yeah, Omini.
Nnamdi, we had certain infractions in Kogi State, e.g. kidnappings and other killings. What's the situation like regarding this area in Bayelsa State?
Like INEC has already The INEC has already released a statement with regards to that. INEC headquarters has also responded to the pockets of incidents which emerged or emanated here in not just in Yonogwa but other parts of Bayelsa State. And I think they have taken that into advisement, and we will be waiting to see what eventually happens when collation begins proper, meaning.
You have shown us the picture of a collation preparation for it. When do you think, by your commission, collation will start?
The collation is again officially at 10, being equal. We expect that the state collation officer would arrive the hall shortly before that time, accompanied by other officials. Of course, we showed you earlier, political party agents are already seated, some of them. It's not a very big hall, meaning so I think would only see those relevant to the process occupying the hall. Of course, the media is already on ground. It's not just NTA. There are our sister agencies are also there. We expect that things will be quite progressive.
After election, the analysis on the media determines a lot the mood of the day. What is the media hype in Yenegua right now? How is it like?
The media has been quite proactive here in Bayelsa State. We spoke to some civil society members yesterday, and they also alluded to the fact that most of the improvements we saw, not just on public participation, but from political parties as well, it was as a result of media sensitization, and these helped in some of the improvements we noticed in the elections generally. So I would say the media has been a key player. Of course, INEC has also played its role, and I think all in all, this has all come together to give us what we have now. Indeed, yes, there were pockets of disruptions in some places, like we said. INEC is on that. The police made some arrests yesterday. We expect that there will be prosecutions and they will be swift, and we expect things to go smoothly from here, Omini.
Namdi, I'll get back to you. Let's take a flip to Lokoja and also have an update developments. We are here. Fisayo Ogunfuyi is standing by. Hello, Fisayo.
Thank you very much, Omini. We are right here at the premises of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the headquarters here in Lokoja, and I'm here with the resident electoral commissioner talking about Professor Sapam. Thank you very much for taking time off this busy schedule to give us this interview.
Thank you. Good morning.
We can see a lot of people. I hope you rested a bit.
Yeah, I did.
Now, we can see over our shoulder there the entrance into the collation center. First of all, are your men and materials back from the field, and what is the situation right now?
We've gotten the men and materials back from the field from 6 local government areas, and so in the next few minutes we'll start collecting those results.
I saw a few hillocks coming in here just a couple of minutes ago. What should we expect in terms of the chronology, in terms of the how the schedule is today?
We'll collect them as they come. Ordinarily it would have been from in alphabetical order, but of course we have to collect them as they come, not waiting for another person.
Have there been any challenges noticed in terms of from getting things from the field to the center so far, in terms of the communication you've had?
The greatest challenge has been from Ibaji because of the floods. Because I understand the results are still being collected at the level of the ward today, and so once they get that done, they will move to the local headquarters and then eventually get here.
Some of the information we got yesterday, some cases of ballot boxes destroyed, some snatched. What happens to those areas? Is that null and void?
Well, the returning officers or the collection officers will tell us what happened in those places once we start taking the results.
Okay, in terms of what to expect here, who are the people that should come in here, and then what will the process look like?
Yeah, we expect the collection, the returning officer with security officials as well as our INEC staff, additional commissioners and the visiting recs, as well as members of the press and members of the civil society organizations who acted as observers.
It has been a multifaceted venture in terms of,
Now there, I don't know if Nnamdi is still up. Let's sustain one or two conversation with Nnamdi. Okay, Nnamdi is not ready. Now, from what we have seen, let me still be on Osaze and AIG before I come to our other team of analysts. So we have heard from Nnamdi. The media hype in Yenagua is quite proactive and not sensational. And you heard the resident electoral commissioner in Kogi State in the fact that there are preparations towards coalition. Compared with previous elections, if Nnamdi is projecting that maybe in a matter of minutes, hours, coalition will start, do you think we'll start collating early or normally start very, very late?
Well, as you said, in a couple of minutes, the coalition will start, and the REC confirmed that 6 local governments have reached the coalition center. And in talking about security, the AIG mentioned that they were there all night collating results from the different local government coalition centers. So if 6 have arrived, that's not too bad. We're about 1/3 of the way through. There are 21 local governments. I think more are on their way. From my platform, I see that a couple have finished, and they're on the way to Lokoja. You can say it's better than it was 4 years ago. In a place like Bayelsa now, there was no election in one local government, Southern Nigeria, so there was nothing to collect, and we knew...
Did that affect the results?
Yes, that's why the elections in Bayelsa 4 years ago was inconclusive, because there's a sizable chunk of voters in Southern Nigeria. I think, if I remember the figures correctly, about 150-something thousand out of 970,000 in the present dispensation. So you see that's a significant chunk, and because of how competitive the elections are, especially among some of the parties, because of how competitive it is, you know that disruption in a couple of places will likely affect the vote. Now we can't say, because the substantial numbers of local governments have not been collated. Recall that in Osun, we're talking of a couple of hundred, 340.
Lokoja is a bit extensive.
Yeah, of course, we have longer days now.
Thank you very much. It's back to Omini in the studio. We'll be giving you updates from here, and of course the live studio is right over my shoulder in front of the Coalition Center. Throughout the day we'll be bringing you results and how events are unfolding right here, as you can see behind me, media trying to get into the place, and of course civil society organizations also trying to witness as events unfold here. It's back to Omini and other guests there in the studio.
Some mornings were disrupted by hoodlums, so there's a big difference. But wherever elections took place, we will have to collate and put that as part of the final results. It's not just declaring a winner, it's a thing of record. Because apart from scoring the majority of lawful votes cast, don't forget that we have to look at the spread as well, whether the person met 2/3, 25% in 2/3 of the local government. So even if you score the highest number of votes cast and you did not meet that spread, then we cannot make a declaration. We'll probably have to go for a rerun election in accordance with the constitutional provisions.
I'll come to you. We have to build up so that we'll see whether we could puncture or disagree or agree with Oluwolosi. Back to Lokoja. Fisayo, can you update us again? Okay, if Fisayo is not there, is Nnamdi up? Nnamdi. Okay, fine. Nnamdi, we're back to you. What and are we expecting a guest analyst, or what are we expecting
of the process in the...
We've heard from AIG and the snippet from our colleague in Yenagua and the one from Kogi State. Generally, what's your observation about the election so far?
I think so far so good, and of course, if INEC is doing fine, let me use that word, and if the police is also doing fine, I think it's in compliance with the normal rule of evolution. You expect that after 5 principal election circles and a number of off-circles election, that the institution of election management will start getting their act right. And I think I must commend INEC, in this particular regard, and the police. My major worries and my major concern is our politician population. If there are challenges, that we have to contend with and address, it has to do, with our politicians, office seekers, and their supporters. And I think there is still a continuous need, not only for voters' education, but for the reorientation of office seekers. Violence, when violence is involved in an election, it is no longer an election. It has become the efforts by certain individuals who consider themselves unpopular and unacceptable by the larger majority of the people to enforce and compel their wills on the people, as it were. That is why anybody would plan or impute violence into the electoral process. So we need to continue to engage the politicians in that regard. Yes, INEC will still have a number of challenges. It is normal in the kind of terrain we operate. We all know Nigerian terrain, very variegated, either in terms of topography and all that. So it's expected. But of course, we have seen how INEC had developed, had grown. And most reports I received yesterday had to do with those minimal challenges here and there. It's no longer teething problems anyway, but again, there are challenges that can be managed going forward. The only little headache I had, coming into this election, especially in the Bayelsa situation, was the numbers of judicial rulings, in the run-up to the election. It was so dramatic between Wednesday and Friday that nobody, and I want to imagine the state of mind of voters in Bayelsa State, especially with the orders and counter orders by courts, different courts, and federal high courts for that matter. I think this also needs to be addressed, because it also speaks so much to the quality of our election environment. But I think going forward, so far so good. The expectation, and I need to emphasize this, the expectation going into the elections for both Kogi and Bayelsa was that it would likely to be violent, characterized by a lot of violence. But I think the contrary is what we are getting. It is not as if violence were not reported, but I think to a large extent we cannot describe it as a major characterization of the election, as it were.
But Jide, yesterday I learned a word from Director and Voter Education that we're very optimistic, and he said we should be cautiously optimistic, talking about experience. You don't buy from the market. He has known that despite all deployments and mobilization by INEC, one or two things will happen. Now, it is confirmed that, yes, along the line, a few infractions happened. Will you say it's a learning curve for us? Can it be improved upon?
I in particular was not very impressed with what happened yesterday. I have to be very sincere with you, because there are so many things we cannot continue to excuse 20 years into this democratic journey. First Republic was truncated barely 5 years into it. Second Republic didn't last for more than 4 years. Third Republic was just barely 2-3 years before it was aborted. Now we have had unbroken 20 years of democratic transition. And what we saw yesterday was still at variance with what we see in other climes. This election was well planned for, was well resourced, so many meetings, stakeholders engagement, voter education. You have, what's it called, signing of peace accord.
But look at the situation yesterday, either in Bayelsa and Kogi. If you check the papers today, there were reported deaths. At least 4 were reported in Kogi. 4 deaths. In Bayelsa, I don't know if anybody died. Have you listened to the comment of former President Goodluck Jonathan after he cast his vote yesterday? That was not a pass mark. That was not a pass mark. I have been privileged to observe elections.
Is it a pass mark on security arrangements, a pass mark on the ANEC arrangements, or a pass mark on the electorate?
Again, we can share the blames.
Because when you say ANEC did all the mobilization, preparations, deployments, police, the security agencies driven by the police did same. Now, where lies the problem? Is it with the 2 institutions or with the electorate? Like Nii has said, is it the political actors? Who takes the blame?
Again, who takes the blame? Primarily the political actors. You heard what director said, Director of Voter Education. Otoke happens to be the hometown of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. Did some people do what they did, that sabotage, to spite? Why should it be his hometown that people will say, community will say, we will not allow the process to commence? If you had the resident elected commissioner for Anambra, who was in, I think it was Ogbia local government, some people came and took the material and burnt it. Voting materials. In full daylight, I mean, we are not talking of night. In full daylight in the morning, the light was there, the policemen were there. These people came, snatched this, and burnt it.
So is it an attitude problem? Is it what?
You can put
because
it
we have
wherever.
talked so much about voter education, about political enlightenment.
That is my word. That is the word. Desperation. Desperation on part of the political actors. That is either my way or highway. And we have instituted a culture of impunity over time, that people are incentivized that nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Just declare us and nothing will happen. Heavens will not fall. We cannot continue like this. I have a lot to be on the field yesterday. The bottom line is that when you say you are improving, we should have gotten to a level where we will not be losing even one single life in an election. Why should INEC official be abducted in the first place? I learned a car belonging to, a vehicle belonging to NTA was also vandalized somewhere in Kogi yesterday or something of that nature. Why should observer be attacked if you are doing your job? So we are here to learn the right lesson. And I think we should not be making all these excuses, oh, substantial compliance, substantial compliance. I tell you, if we continue this narrative of, oh, there was substantial compliance, only in 10%, only in 20%, those 10-20% are what the media will report. Because the expectation is that everything should go well. So the news of what is reported is where things did not go well. I don't know if you are a journalist.
Absolutely.
So when you are looking for news story and everybody is saying, oh, everything went well, the INEC was very professional, the election was peaceful. Yes, that's what we expected, because that was the assurances the commission gave us. That was the assurances the police gave us. I mean, police deployed 35,000 in Kogi. But you saw footages, you saw pictures. I mean, I still have some of them on my phone. As in live bullets, shots.
Okay, let me just hold you there. Now, yesterday along the line, we talked about the fact that no matter how you refine soccer in the world, you cannot totally eliminate hooliganism, soccer hooliganism. Now, to Nii, what should be the way out to the political elite, to the electorate in Nigeria? Because from the analysis so far, from you, from him, INEC had done everything to ensure a congenial atmosphere for elections. The police have done, and other security agents have done it. Now, like I said yesterday, if INEC was prepared for election, police was prepared for election, and the people were not available. The election will not hold. Now, the umpire is prepared for election, put everything in place. The people who are supposed to participate turn out to be violent. What is the way forward?
Well, it's very simple. The first principal concern is that the official political office or offices are attractive. The attraction is inspired by material gains, and therefore it is seen as a business concern. So, individual who declares interest in a political office sees it first as a mercantile effort. For them is entrepreneurship. It's a form of commercial engagement, and to that extent, everything needs to be thrown, into it. The institutions that I have so much sympathy for is the institution of INEC, because they are also, by administration, had to engage young people, corpers, university graduates, and these lives are premium lives. They are premium Nigerian lives. But because of the character, the nature of politicians, they are exposed to the worst form of threats, the possibility of losing your life. That should not be. So I think, one, politicians must understand the basis and the essence of seeking political office. Need reorientation, one. Two, there is a constitutional need to reduce the attraction, in political offices, so that it is seen as service delivery. If you want to build roads at the minimal cost through a network of villages and communities, why would you need to kill somebody to go and deliver that kind of service? If you want to provide schools for pupils and children in your community, why would you want to kill to deliver that service? So principally, why you would rather decide to resort to violence would mean that you are looking at it as an economic gain, and to that extent, politics, democracy is not pivoted on economic gains. So there is a need to continue this reorientation of our political office holder, and of course, politicians, especially at the National Assembly, should start looking at our constitution to see how powers and material gains, benefits that are attached to political offices are also reduced.
Well, over time, one would have expected, we used to think that it is the responsibility of INEC to do voter education. But with time, we got to know that it is even the responsibility of political parties, CSOs whose activities are tailored towards politicking, and a few other groups. Now, with what has happened, one would expect that maybe INEC would do a post-mortem at the end of this election. So, Osaze, what do you think as the umpire and maybe the professional body handling this? Because it is clear that the electorate, the people, the political class are vulnerable. They are easily swayed to do some of these things. What do you think INEC should do in collaboration with key, maybe partners towards this?
Okay, in answering that, let me just quickly make reference to what Nii just said. As the National Assembly should make efforts to dissuade, not make political office so attractive. You are asking people who are involved in a process, the beneficiaries of a process, to take the lead. I think that's I'll tie that to your question. You see, look, you don't expect those who are beneficiaries. I think the AG made that point yesterday. You don't expect those who are beneficiaries to take the lead in trying to altruistically do away with things they benefit from today. They might do things against the future occupants of the positions of posts not to benefit, but the likelihood of they are doing things against their own personal, selfish, present interest. I agree that in their enlightened self-interest and for the sustainability of the process in the long run, they should do that, but they're not likely to. So the people lead in a democracy. The people in National Assembly are our representatives. We elected, we put them there. So in everything, they are answerable and accountable to us. So we should ensure and hold them accountable. On their own, they will not do most of these things. So the initiative should come from outside institutions to put pressure on those who are been mandated to make laws to do the same thing. It's the same thing. A lot of the time, people expect so much of INEC. Anything to do with elections, they expect INEC to take care of everything. Our statutory responsibility and constitutional responsibility are clearly spelled out in the law. In some countries, the election management body just gives you voter information. The act of mobilizing people, the act of giving voter education, civic education, belongs to other institutions, both state institutions and non-state institutions. And you're right, spot on. Political parties have the primary responsibility of doing voter education, because you see, they're there because of the rule of law. They are established by the Constitution. The Constitution allows political parties to thrive. So they have to sustain, and the idea is to capture power, hopefully for the benefit of us all. So they should do things. Say, look, the system protects and benefits all of us. We thrive. We owe our survival to the system. So we must do everything to preserve the system. And in a democracy, sovereignty belongs to the people. Everything sprouts from that. So we should ensure that people know my logo. People vote wisely. People don't confuse my logo or don't vote in such a way that their votes will become invalid. The primary duty, and to get people out to vote, is their responsibility, primary responsibility. State institutions like INEC, the credibility of election, part of the judgment, yardstick, the matrix for judging the credibility of election is the voter turnout. And so anything that will impugn on that integrity and credibility of the election, they should ensure that those things are not done. Violence is antithetical to any democratic process. So you should teach your supporters not to engage in violence. War of the mind, not war of words, not war of machetes or guns and things like that. Persuade them that your own system, your manifesto, and every party has a manifesto, by the way, it's part of the requirements, as it were, but how many contestants know, or candidates know,
accept the election violence.
Supervising the election does not know who is going to win. He's hearing the result officially the same way you and I will be hearing it. So that is the best transparent way. And I will enjoy Nigerians watching us now to please hold their breath by 10 a.m. because the electronic voting is you send from polling units and it's collated at one level.
Let me get the perspective of me.
I think this also talks directly to contents of voters' education. And as they put it, those contents, when the results are not from the INEC, it's not about source. It's the INEC. The funny thing here is you see results. You see results from one local government, one ward, or one polling unit. And you see 2-3 different results, apparently written by the parties. Okay. So each party will write according to its own fancy, as it were. So I think, people, the electorates must continuously be educated on the need, to disregard any form of results on the media, either social or mainstream media. The mainstream media can also be persuaded, talked to, and of course conscientized to their sense of patriotism that, of course, this has been going on. It should not be. As we are commending INEC for evolving into a better, more practical institution, we should be able to commend our media houses and media practitioners, for also advancing the true causes and fundamentals of our electoral process. So I think that is one. Then 2, I want to appeal to AIG here. If there had been instances of successful prosecution, and of course rulings against individuals that had been, arrested for electoral malpractices or violence, the police should at least make it public so that it can be a reference point, and of course a deterrent. I have been following elections over a very long time in Nigeria, I am yet to read about an individual, that was arrested and taken through the process of prosecution. And of course, the court made a final sanction on such person. If we have, even if they are not well publicized, I think this is the time to publicize such. It also helps, in deterrence. It helps in using as reference in a voter's education, as it were, too.
Okay, let's proceed. Now,
I'm sorry, let me just quickly correct that with benefit of the viewers. That certainly is not quite right. On our website, for example, there's a record of about 200 and something successful prosecutions. I recall in, I think it was 2-3 years ago, there was Mjibe's state constituency in Kano State. And fortunately, the police were up on that. They went ahead, prosecuted, and some pleaded guilty, others were successfully prosecuted. And that was reported in the papers. There might be footnotes, and certainly it's a drop in the ocean. But there are a series of successful prosecutions. One, I think it was the EFCC recent, last
in Gombe.
In Gombe, successfully prosecuted. But you see, there are other issues that we should talk about, larger issues. Maybe, certainly, we agree with the basic principles that as a deterrence, there should be more prosecutions. I would even want to say we should target the wholesalers, not the retailers, really, the people who bring out the money, the bigger people. You may be right to say that some of the so-called bigger people have not been exactly prosecuted, but it takes a lot. And secondly, even the small people who give the 1,000, 5,000 in polling units, the problem is that on social media yesterday, I saw some people, but looking at it, I saw it was inside a house, and they named a particular person and candidate. Unfortunately, you cannot verify those things. Looking closely at the photographs, I saw it was inside a confined area. In the meantime, polling units are not in confined areas, for example. So there's mischief as well. And this brings to that second issue. Now, for you to successfully prosecute, yes, many of the things you said, murder, for example, killing, that is clearly an offense under the criminal code or the penal code. It has nothing to do with the elections. It might occur in the course of elections. There are some, like forgery, that forgery of a result is both a criminal offense under the penal code, is also an offense under the Electoral Act. And then the police can choose to prosecute, or they can on themselves, or choose to refer them. And we've just received about 200 case files from the police on electoral offenses. Now, there's a danger in prosecuting some of these things, and from practical experiences, you must get witnesses. Even some of these, a lot of these people who do the video recordings on election day will not come to make statements, and when they do, they might not follow up. How many of us, truly, we all complain about this, but how many of us, even your cameraman, when you see things, how many of us are ready to follow up? Your people went to Bayelsa, someone arrested in Abuja. When you want to prosecute, you cannot come and prosecute them in Abuja. The Electoral Act, for example, says they should be prosecuted where the offense, in the High Court of Magic Court, where the offense took place. A lot of the time, NTA may not allow their cameraman go all the way. If it does, it say, well, I don't have a budget for that. So you have to get budget, and prosecutions can take a while. It's a judicial process. So getting witnesses, someone say, you want to go back to Bayelsa to do what? And to give evidence, I beg go. From the home, they are being dissuaded from going. There's the expense, there's the time. So these are some of the challenges that come with some of these prosecutions, which we should also look at. We should not be too quick to condemn, but find ways, analyze things, or find ways to provide workable solutions to some of the practical issues that we encounter in prosecution. You might go there, the first day you charge a case to court, hardly ever does it finish that first day. They take a plea, grant the person bail, he goes home, they take a date for hearing. A date, the magistrate might not sit, the lawyer might not come, witness is ill, and you have to travel, even if it's the same town. How many people are willing to do that? Is that safety guaranteed? Do they have the will to see things through? These are some things we should really closely look at and examine.
Okay, it's a countdown already, and in a matter of minutes, hours, from Lokoja, from Yenegua, collation will begin. By the arrangement by INEC, by the Electoral Act, can you just for emphasis educate Nigerians on the procedure? Okay, good.
Yesterday we talked about collation. After voting, you collate. And you start the collation with the RA, Registration Area or Ward Collation Center, where all the units under a ward are brought together, and you take the results from the, what we call the E-State A, the form of the polling unit, and enter it one after the other for all the polling units. That's the RA collation. That has been done in, I think, just about everywhere. Then you take all from the ward, because the local government consists of several wards, 10, 12, 14. You now take those results to the ward collation center, and you add all up and enter a form, fill it in a form. And but like the rec in Kogi said, 8 or so local government, 6 or 8 have been taken onto Lokoja for the state collation. Your camera crew are in the state collation center. That is where all the results from the 21 local governments of Kogi will now be brought together, and if possible, a final result announced, and maybe a declaration made if any of the candidates satisfy the requirements. The same for the 8 local governments of Bayelsa. So that's where the final collation will be done. That is the process laid out in the Electoral Act. Jide made reference to electronic, he said electronic voting. But I guess what we are talking about is electronic collation and transmission, because there are different processes. So we're in the process of transmission of results now, a collation and transmission of results. You collate, enter them in a physical paper in a form, EC8 B for ward, EC8 C for local government, take it to the state where the EC8 D. Then the summary of all those will now be entered in what we call the final result, the EC8 E. So it's a manual, paper-based process, which is specified in the Electoral Act.
So from what Jide said, it therefore means if I'm an agent or I'm just agitated, I want to know the results, or I'm tracking results so that there will be no fake results.
Yes.
It does not necessarily mean that if I track results, 5 results from the ward level, up to local government, up to state, it may end up remaining the same.
Well, broadly speaking, it should end up all being the same. But the Electoral Act, now, in this process of collation, it's not just to add up the figures. The agents now have an opportunity of saying, look, there was violence in this unit, or in a materials and personnel were carted away, and they were taken to an unknown destination, and then brought straight to the collation center. They didn't even declare the results in the polling unit, and the ECAG is not there, and things like that. Or, he said so as well, in adding up, genuine or mischievously, there was a mistake. So when you add all these things up, look at the EC8B, when you add all up, well, not all of us have degrees in mathematics or even are good at arithmetic. So generally, there can be errors. Sometimes people use Excel, but there can be errors in either in formula or something. There's an error, so please correct it. So the returning officer, collation officer, has the power. So yes, I've seen it. That is correct. Come, please check this in again. And the collation officer, collation at lower level, checks it and says, I made a mistake. He checks it and corrects it. So that there's an opportunity to correct things. It's only when the returning officer makes a return that there's only one person who's the returning officer. All the other collation officers, and it's the chief, somebody used that word just now, chief returning officer. If he makes a mistake and he has already issued the result, there's nothing we can do about that. Even if a gun was pointed to his head, the cases in Imo seem to suggest that even though it's not a voluntary action of his, it seems like there's nothing the commission can do.
You're giving me a good lead. I was just trying to say that the last general election we had versions,
yes.
Now results under duress, all that, meaning that security of the collation center is very, very paramount here. Now, as we count down to announcement of results from Kogi and Bayelsa State, I don't know if AIG will be able to update us so that people who think they can just take a ride and drive to the venue and cause trouble and maim people should be cautious.
It's not possible. I think even that declaring result under duress is something that is still surprising, but I think that is past. But I want to tell you of the present. If you have ever been to any collation center, I think it's more secure than this studio. If you look at the distance before you can even access this place, I'm not sure any person who does not know here can access it. So same. Wherever is declared, the venue for this collation, like I told you yesterday, we start mopping up and again improving and increasing on our security from the polling station level. By today, and even if you go to, let me generally say, like ANEC office, for instance, is well secured with the PML, that is Police Mobile Force. A unit was always stationed there for the security of the materials at the time of distribution and all. Then the collation center, which is the position we are now, the security there is so much that the DIG, for instance, as at the present situation, the DIG who is in charge of Bayelsa will also be there. The the Lokoja Center, we also have a DIG there. And once you have a DIG, you have a AIG, then you have CPs, you have ACs. So all the senior officers are out there. And as they are out there, their junior officers too are also there to ensure that that place is fully secured. So for anyone attempting, by whatever means, thinking they can access that place, I want to tell you, I think it's not possible, and no one should dare it.
What happens when we have recorded incidences where the security operatives themselves have a clash securing a place because of the desperation of interested parties? For instance, the contest is between Jide Ojo and Ni Akinsiju. And Ni realizes that if they announce that result, Jide will win. And what does he do? He gets up a counter-security team who will go to the closure and cause confusion. What happens? Who takes superior? It happens.
Really, I'm just, I don't know. You are just playing a script which is never possible. Because it's imagination. I want to tell you, security, there can never be a disagreement between security officers in the discharge, lawful discharge of our responsibilities, because we are disciplined, and again we obey, we take instruction, and we obey authority. I've never witnessed it. I don't know. In your own case, where you witnessed it, it's
devil's advocate.
So, if there's any situation I've never seen,
I want to assure
you there is no such situation.
Okay.
Because number one, you have never seen any uniform person, let me say security officer, that is a card-carrying member of any political party, and his interests, his own personal interest cannot override the national interest. Okay. So for you to think that because he has interest for a particular something, he will now go against the national interest, I don't think it's possible. And so it is advisable for anyone thinking, to dare that location, should please not try it.
Okay, let's speak to the political party agents, because they are critical here when results have been announced. Before we go to the political parties, let's speak to the agents. Could you speak with them in terms of the attitude they should display at the venues where these results are announced? Let me leave that to the two of you. Let me start with Nii.
Yeah, I think they are the most important foot soldiers here, because they are the representatives of the parties at the polling unit level. And I think a major qualifying attribute should be enlightenment, education. They should be able to read and write. It's important because of the figures they'll be collecting. And of course, they should have been properly educated by their political parties. It is important in terms of what they are supposed to look at and in terms of their limitations as party agents. What is their responsibility? Some, from my experience, go to the extreme of competing sometimes with the electoral officers at the polling units, and before you know it, you have clashes and conflicts, So there's a need for the parties, before they deploy them, to properly orientate them, educate them, and of course tell them, let them know their limits, and of course their responsibilities. So it's the responsibility of the party, first and foremost. And I think there's one thing in politics too. Because of the plethora of parties contesting, and of course we have pretenders and of course the major contenders, there are parties, major political parties use to actually represent their interest. They are not too serious parties. And they provide agency to the major parties.
That's a revelation.
Well, I play the political field. So you have so many other parties ostensibly representing their party, but in real fact they are representing, the interests of these other principal parties. And of course, the whole idea is where there is a need to create confusion You know, in terms of who has the largest voice, either at the collating unit or at the polling unit, these other party agents, you know, are recruited for this purpose. I think this is one area the INEC and the police should also look into.
Okay, Jide, let's speak to the political parties regarding attitude and congeniality within the venue where results are announced. Because besides the agents, you also have other members who are strategic to the announcement of results from the various political parties present at the venue.
Well, a very visible case that we can remember was what happened in 2015 at the International Conference Center, where there was a vehement attempt to disrupt the collation process. You recall the former minister trying to disrupt that process. That was a very, very unfortunate incident. It took the equanimity of INEC chairman then not to allow the situation to degenerate. But we all saw it, and the Nigerians condemned that very untoward action of that former minister who was a principal agent. Having said that, I think we are yet to imbibe, and when I say we, I'm saying the political actors in this country reminds me of what late Professor Claude Ake said decades ago. May God bless his memory. He said, we are running democracy without Democrats. We are running democracy without Democrats. Why? Because people have refused to embrace the democratic tenet. Election is about sport. You must have spirit of sportsmanship. It's like a football game. One must win, one must lose. In fact, where there is no clear winner, and it's a crucial match in which somebody must emerge victorious, they will give extra time. Where extra time does not produce a clear winner, there will be what? Penalty taken. So you take penalty just because a winner has to emerge. So if we run democracy with democratic ethos and tenets and beliefs, we will not see any disruption at the collation center. One good thing I must also say about INEC and its leadership is the opportunity that whoever is in that leadership usually gives for agents of political party to ventilate their grievances. And you will see that where there are issues, pending unresolved issues from the lower rung, they are usually brought to the final collation center, and more often than not, you hear the returning officer listening to those grouses.
Let me just interject a bit. We'll return to you. We need to go back to Lokoja, that's Kogi State, to get some update. Let's take a listen, please.
Our studio is just over our shoulders here at the Coalition Center. Everybody is seated, and we understand that about 5 to 6 hall right there. So you just see, if we can see the actualities from the hall. So let's just go quickly into the hall now and see what is happening there. We'll hand you over to the hall as the events unfold there, and we expect that the coalition officers will begin the process.
How are they? I feel shocking myself. Terry, my guy. Adieu. No way. Alpha. Thank I'm sorry for that. Thank you. So once they are ready, we start collecting. We understand already received
time we take these ones and others haven't arrived, we'll take a short break and come back. We'll be informed accordingly. So, good morning, everyone. You want to say something to the expectant people of the state? Okay, that's fine. He rather would want to work than talk. Okay, so, okay. Another microphone that they're going to be using there. Okay. Where is your E? Bring the E copy and so let me acknowledge the presence of the other security operatives. Okay, so sir, we are set. Mr. Egbeye, is Egbeye here? Mr. Egbeye? Okay. Okay, you raise your hand. Somebody is raising his hand over there. Give him the microphone. Give him this one.
Chief Returning Officer for this Kogi State Governorship election, resident rec and visiting recs, visiting national INEC commissioners. My name is Captain Joe Agada, retired, an Irish Republican Institute trained officer in electoral processes, and I'm representing the People's Democratic Party. Before we start on Ogorimagogo, just a clarification. We had intelligence report that some ballot papers were stolen in Ogorimagongo. I don't know whether...
Please, can we have some silence? It's very serious. Please. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know whether the REC took proactive measures to make replacements before the commencement of the elections, or they did the election without those areas that their ballot papers were stolen. Thank you.
But you haven't had the result yet. You haven't had anything yet. But it's about result. If some were stolen, then probably they were cancellations. You haven't listened to them just yet.
Sir, this is before the election, not about during the process.
Oh, that they were stolen?
Yes, not snatching, not this before.
Stolen from where?
Within Ogorimagogo INEC complex.
Okay, but all the same, listen to them. The electoral officer is there.
Okay,
wait until he speaks.
Okay, sir.
Okay. By the way, you should announce your presence. I think it's even right that you announce your presence. You party agents. Give him this one. This is also an agent.
Honorable Medukun Ephraim, representing Alliance for Democracy.
Okay.
Honorable Alex Adaji, representing the All Progressive Grand Alliance.
My name is Honorable Abdulaziz Idris King, former member House of Reps, agent for APC. Sorry, I just want to make emphasis on what the other chap have said, that there was stolen ballot paper in Ogorimagongo. Okay. I just want to make further clarification concerning the issue of the stolen ballot paper in Ogorimagongo. I'm the state agent for APC. and I have all my agents in Ogorimagongo. There was no time, I did not get any report that there was any ballot paper that was snatched or stolen. So I just want to make the clarification. Thank you very much.
You've gotten the list of okay, Mr. Gbe is coming with it. But does that stop us from starting? Yusuf, will that stop us from starting? The registered voters, does it stop us from starting? Yeah, we have paused a little because we want to have the list of registered voters. So that's why we have a pause. As well as the electoral officers. Tell us your name and where you come from. That's okay. Wait, that's when we start. But we're still waiting for the list of registered voters.
We said before now there is a countdown already to the announcement of results from Bayelsa and Kogi State. Already you could see the collation center in Kogi State. There is Lokoja, a build-up to the announcement of results. Like Namdi told us that in a matter of minutes, and just a few minutes past 10 we went there. Preparations are on towards that. We'll be going to Kogi and Bayelsa in the course of these discussions. And before we went to Lokoja, we were looking at the attitude of party agents, the political parties at venues like this. And what we saw minutes ago is already playing out. Results have not yet been announced, and there are reactions from party agents. So back to Sazeuzi, what we saw, was it necessary for now, or is it just that people are just being agitated?
Well, I wouldn't know their state of mind, but obviously it talks to agitation because at this stage we're doing preliminary issues. We want to do the introductions to see, you see, the returning officer is the National Commissioner, the Resident Electoral Commissioner, and basically who are those present, who are those for record purposes, who are those entitled to be here, or who are those who are here. Every political party that has a candidate at the election is entitled to nominate a polling agent for every polling unit and the collation center to represent the candidate and the party and its interest in the collation center. For now, so it's just to say, let us record, let us know all those who are here present. It's not yet time to raise any objections or anything else. It's an introductory phase. Who are here? So when each local government is now called, it's then that if you have any observations, any objections, any comments to make, it's then that you make the comments so that the returning officer now looks at things. But it's premature to start talking about the merits or demerits of or any issue that arose in the previous line of coalition or at the polling units.
Can such reactions stall the announcement of results somehow?
Well, nobody's allowed to disrupt the announcements of results, but I'm careful when you say, to use your own words, when you say stall it. It can
stop.
It can delay it, certainly, in the sense that the returning officer, depending on his style, will listen to complaints, and if it's something he can resolve immediately, he resolves it. If it's something he has to think about and consult, he probably should consult, because the Electoral Act says the returning officer has all the powers. He superintends that final collation process. For example, he has a right to what votes are valid or invalid and things like that. So it's almost an adjudicatory and as well as an administrative responsibility he undertakes when he's doing that. So sometimes we'll listen to the parties and see whether it's something he can resolve, and he resolves it, and then go ahead to make an announcement, and if the conditions are met, make a declaration.
Okay, let's veer off from Kogi and Bayelsa and talk generally. Nii, what will you say about the evolving democratic culture in Nigeria? Is it a build-up, or somehow we are not sure we are coasting forward, or we are just stagnant?
I am optimistic. I have faith in the electoral process. It's obvious it's building up. It's obvious we are getting better, both with the institutions responsible for delivery of electoral issues, and of course with the people. We are definitely not same people in terms of character, attitude, and perception, as it were, in 1999, when we had the first in the series of elections, till now. We can get better. We'll get better. We're talking of a 20 years old democratic experience. I do not expect us, to be perfect in these 20 years. Yes, we should. Some people would say we should have gone further than this, but I think, given also the peculiar demographies, of the Nigerian states, given the fact of where we are coming from, given a plethora of fault lines, and all that, we expect that we would evolve over time. But so far, so good. If we're talking of the last cycle of election, the courts have made some positions, some rulings, to show that the last election, I'm talking of the February-March elections, were credible, at least at the level of the presidential election and, of course, the governorship election. We saw some changes at the level of the National Assembly and the State Assembly, but some, in terms of relativity, it's not so much of, it's not much of any concern or consequences. So I think we are improving. We will get better, and that is this is the first time we are maturing in our democracy. We've had a number of experiences that were aborted, perhaps if we had sustained the democratic project since 1960, we would have gone much further than this, because democracy is a culture and it has to be built. Some have to be learned, many has to be experienced. So what if we are doing better in this off-cycle election? It is because we have learned so much from way back 1999. So I expect that we will improve. I expect that all institutions of state responsible for delivering on election would also put in their bit. And I think in this regard, it's not just about the INEC and the police. It has to do with the media. It has to do with the orientation agency. The orientation agency needs to be empowered more, to constantly. It's not supposed to be an event. Election education is not supposed to be an event. It should be an everyday thing, given the fact of the need to create a culture, of one, tolerance and accommodation in a democratic experience, as it were.
Well, follow up to still on you. I remember vividly years back, Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, she was on set with Richard Quest on CNN. And Richard posed a question to her, and she's replied and said, Richard, not even the United States can guarantee free and fair elections. Coming from this angle, compared with Nigeria, what do you have to say?
Well, definitely. We are talking.
Richard was coming from an angle of trying to make you look as if Nigeria was not ready for election. And she said, not even the United States can guarantee.
It's true.
A 100% perfect electoral process.
I agree. If today there is a rancor around the person and character of the United States president, it has its roots, in their last general election. The most important element in an election is the people. And of course, the people are not robots. They come from different background, with different perspective and perception, and of course different interests, and they want to advance this interest in whatever way they could. But it's a culture, built over time that also limits and moderates the extent of the realization of those interests. Sometimes those interests are criminal, and when they are criminal, they tend, to create confusion in the space. It is the culture itself that also now moderates that tendency, as it were. One thing I also want to note, I am not hearing of the issues, at least not in the immediate past election that we have had, what we call the wholesale rigging.
Digital rigging.
Digital rigging. Now, before, the concern was a number of people would go into a room, while there is, of course, bedlam out there, people fighting and all that, people voting and all that. So a number of people will go into a room and write results. And that is the result that will be announced. And of course, there will be contentions and all that. And the normal refrain is go to court. I think there's a change in that. We are not getting to hear that. When people go ballot snatching, for me, it's comical. You're talking about 200 votes, 300 votes somewhere. It usually won't have much impact on the process because it cannot be replicated on a mass scale. So we need to tell people that all this ballot box snatching perhaps may be in a bid to create confusion and perhaps reduce the potency or power of a candidate somewhere, but they do not in any way, impact the electoral process. The more dangerous threat to the electoral process are those that have the capacity to go somewhere and write results or digitally manipulate the results and all that. We are not hearing much of that. I think it's a major advancement, and it also shows that there's transparency in the process as we are going forward. It may not be perfect, but we are moving forward.
Okay, let me go to AIG. At least you've been around. Let's look at, maybe we bend backwards further, not just from 1999. The police, security architecture, and electoral governance.
It has seriously or greatly improved. And that is true. every day as other institutions are improving on their own, we are also improving, drawing experience and lessons from our daily operations. One major thing, that is giving some people room, to create this confusion, whether ballot snatching or destruction at the polling unit, is because the people who are legally supposed to be there are the ones, knowing fully well that the men, that is the security personnel at a particular location of the polling unit, they are not armed. You can see they start the confusion from there and they start running. And I want to tell you, the police cannot just be shooting everybody seen running. That is not the essence of it. Because the basis of there is to create the enabling environment for those genuine people to even cast their votes, and go. But not that we are not aware that within those 10 genuine voters, there are those two can create some confusion. But we can't just kill everybody. And I think in some areas where some of these infractions, take place, if you go to the collation center, most of the returning officers will tell. We have to tell their story. And at the collation center, you see the returning officer taking a position on it. That if such a thing really happened, or this happened, then the result from that place is declared, is cancelled or is void, and that kind of a thing. I think it's a way of discouraging those who have this tendency to do it. And if we continue to improve on that aspect, knowing fully well that if for any reason you create a scene at a particular unit and it's not going to
let me just hold you. They have commenced collation in Kogi. Let's go to Lokoja now.
Party A, 1 vote. 0-1. Party AAC 1-0-1. Party AD 2-0-2. Party ADC 4-0-4. Party ADP 1, that is 0-1. Party ANRP 0-4. Party APC 3,679 3679. Party APGA 1, that is 0-1. Party GDPN 0. Party GPN 0. Party HDP 0. Party JMPP 0. Party MAJA 0. Party NCP 1. Party PDP 1. Party PDP 2,145
2145. Party PPN 404. Party PPP 0. Party PRP 1, that is 01. Party UDP 0. Party UPC 0. Party YDP 0. Party YPP 0. Party ZLP 0. Party APM 0. Party SDP 244. Total number of valid votes 6,088. 6088. Number of rejected votes 146. 146. Total number of vote cast. Total number of vote cast 6,234. 6234. Sir, there was no any council vote in Ogorimagongo local government. And no any crisis was recorded. Number of accredited votes can differ from vote cast. If somebody gets accredited and refuses to vote and walks away, it's allowed. That we are told that in the training.
PWD. You have a record for PWD voting.
Yes.
People with disabilities.
No case like that.
No record about.
No record.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. So thank you.
Any question? Any question? Okay. Thank you very much. Bro. So, come. Yes.
Ijumu local government. Thank you very much, Professor Mohammed.
My name is Jubril, Associate Professor from the Department of Geography and Environmental Management, University of Abuja. My name is Edicha Jubril, Department of Geography and Environmental Management, University of Abuja, Associate Professor. I'm the local government electoral officer for Ijumu local government with respect to the governorship election. Good
morning, everybody. I am Mrs. Railat Muhammad, the electoral officer in charge of Ijumu local government.
For Ijumu local government, the number of registered voters is 59578. Number of registered voters 59578. Accredited voters 20139. Accredited voters 20139. Total number of votes received by each of the political party. Party A 03. Party A 03. Party AAC 12. Party AAC 12. Party AD 13. Party AD 13. Party ADC 46. Party ADC 46. Party ADP 16. Party ADP 16. Party ANRP 40. Party ANRP 40. Party APC 11425. Party APC 11425. Party ABGA 12. Party ABGA 12. Party GDPN 0. Party GDPN 0. Party GPN 0. Party GPN 0. Party HDP 0. Party HDP 0. Party JMPP 2. Party JMPP 2. Party MAJA 2. Party MAJA 2. Party NCP 8. Party NCP 8. Party PDP. Party PDP 7587. Party PDP 7587. Party PPN 13. Party PPN 13. Party PPP 14. PPP 14. 14. Party PRP 05. Party PRP 05. Party UDP 03. Party UDP 03. Party UPC 03. Party UPC 03. Party YDP 0. Party YDP 0. Party YPP 01. YPP 01. Party ZLP 02. ZLP 02. Party APM 05. APM 05. And Party SDP 223. SDP 223. Total valid vote 19435. Total valid votes 19435. Rejected vote 446. Rejected vote 446. Total vote cast 19881. Total vote cast 19881. This is the party distribution. Sir, there are issues in some RA, including their polling units, and the total number of registered voters were also properly documented. What happened is there were 5 polling units, which are in Ayegule. Yes. Okay. Yes. The reserve voter, yes. Fine. In Ayegule 01, that RA 01. Sorry, there is no problem. There is Ayetoro 1. Ayetoro 1 02. The RA code 02.
Please leave him now. Just listen. Just leave it.
RA code 02.
Yes.
Number of polling units affected is 3. Total number of registered voters there is 2654.
Yes.
2654. What happened is that in that polling unit, there was crisis in the midway into the elections. The ballot papers were scattered and thrown out and what have you. I think there was shootings and so on and so forth. So some of the ballot papers were left on the floor and people could not come back there to conduct the elections. So I think it was later on to mobilize to go and recall the ballot paper. These are documented, and the collation officer from those wards, they also have letters and the letter with it.
So there is one incident in one unit, and that's it, and it's all documented.
Sir?
It's only one incident. One incident in one unit. Isn't that what you're saying?
No, it's not for one unit.
Oh, it's not for one unit.
There are other units that are affected. I'm moving down.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Okay, all right.
Then Ayetoro 2. It also spread to Ayetoro 2. Ayetoro 2 is the code, the RA code is 03. And it's one polling unit that is affected there. And the total number of registered voters there is 1109. 1109 is the same because they are in proximity and what have you. Then in Ebeda Ega, that is RA code 10, one polling unit is affected, and the total number of registered voters there is 365. What happened in this particular unit is that when they were using the card reader, at a point the card reader towards evening, the card reader could not function. And before they could mobilize to come there, it was late, and the people now started using manual accreditations. And on that basis, the election desk was recorded 0 votes.
Cancelled.
And in all, there are 5 polling units, and the total number of registered voters is 4,128. 4,000. 5. I say 5. PU. 5. No, PU is 5. It's 5. The RA, the RA is 1, 2, 3. There are 3. Yes. TRA, the polling unit is 5.
Okay, 3.
4128. 128.
Have it line there. It's documented, so bring forward.
No, we don't record any of that statistics in that place there.
Okay. So before you submit, any question? Thank you very much. So please submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Edicha. Thanks for the trouble you went through and all that. Somebody else. Okay, so the next is Omala.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ode Julius, Associate Professor of Veterinary Pharmacology, University of Abuja. I am the LGA Collection Officer for Omala Local Government.
I'm by name Bala Lima, Electoral Officer, Omala LGA.
Total number of registered voters is 66,066,368. Total number of accredited voters 24474. 24474. Total number of accredited voters 24474. Individual party scores. A party 4 votes 04. AAC 22 22. AD 34. ADC 29. ADP 26. ANRP 18. APC 8473. APC 8473. ABGA 12. ABGA 12. GDPN 03. GPN 0. HDP 2. HDP 2 02. JMPP 01. JMPP 01. MAJA 06. PCP 20, PDP 14403, 14403, 14403, PDP, PPN 36, PPP 21, PRP 14, UDP I said PRP 14, UDP 404, UDP 04, UPC 0, UPC 0, YDP 02, YDP 02, YPP 01, YPP 01, ZLP 05, ZLP 05, APM 02, APM 02, SDP 567, SDP 567. Total valid votes 23705. Total valid votes 23705. Rejected votes 723. Rejected votes 723. Total votes cast 24428. Total votes cast 24428. We have result cancellation in 5 polling units, 5 RAs, 5 registration areas, due to violent disruption of the electoral process, snatching of ballot boxes, and then threat to life. The wards involved are Akpacha. The unit there has a code 001, and the number of registered voters there is 320, 320. Ogodu, the unit involved has a code 009. Number of registered voters there is 862. Third one is Okpatala. The PU code there is 002, and it has a registered voter of 459. The last one is Oji Aji, and 2 polling units were affected over there. The ones with code 003 and 10. 003 and 10. And the registered voters there is 11,1126 for the 2 of them. So total registered 1126. Total registered voters in the wards that where crisis affected was 2767. 2767. Thank you.
No areas. Five.
2767. 76.
No, 4 areas.
4 areas, 5 polling units. Yes.
2767. It's 4 areas.
4 areas, 5 polling units.
Any question? Thank you very much. Please bring forward.
Information about PWDs.
PWDs? None.
Okay, so the next is Adavi. Adavi, number. Okay, you're representing.
Good morning, sirs and mas. I am Anjorin TS.
Please, let's have some silence, please. Yes, please, speak louder.
Yes, sir. I am Anjorin TS, a professor of plant pathology and microtoxicology, University of Abuja. I am the collation officer for Adavi local government area, and the result is as follows.
Okay. I'm Garba Zubairu Adamu, electoral officer Adavi.
Okay. The total votes for number of registered voters is 105,905. 906. The number of registered voters for the local government is 105,906. The number of accredited voters is 66,222. Now, the parties. A, 8. AAC, okay, 8. 08. AAC, 15. AAC, 15. AD, 21. AD, 21. ADC, 27. ADC 27, ADP 18, ADP 18, ANRP 10, ANRP 10, APC 64 657, APC 64 657, APGA 49 49, APGA 49, GDPN 04, GDPN 04, GPN 05, GPN 05, HDP 11, HDP 11, JMPP 606, JMPP 06, MAJA 02, MAJA 02, NCP 21, NCP 21, PDP 366, PDP 366, PPN 16, PPN 16, PPP 12, PPP 12, PRP 05, PRP 05, UDP 18, UDP 18, UPC 09, UPC 09, YDP 08, YDP 08, YPP 08, YPP 08, ZLP 05, ZLP 05, SDP 2, yes sir, APM 15, APM 15, and SDP 279, SDP 279. The total valid votes is 65595. Total valid votes is 65595. Rejected votes 372. Rejected votes 372. Total votes cast is 65967. Total votes cast is 65967. In one residential area known as Kuroko 2, in 10 polling units there, yes, 10 polling units there in the Kuroko 2 RA, their results were cancelled. The reason why was that the total number of votes cast in each of these affected units exceeded the accredited votes. Thank you. The total the number of registered voters is 3927. Number of registered voters that were counted were 3927. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Any question? Yes, please. Microphone. Give him microphone. Nobody to. Okay, speak loud if they can hear you.
My honorable returning officer for this election, I will make this point for the collations of Okene, Okehi, and Adabi. Adabi has just been presented.
On what is presented.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
So that it will not be seen as repeating when those issues come. I, as the collation agent for the People's Democratic Party, Captain Joagada, I reject totally, and I urge this panel to also reject that there was no such election in Adabi local government for which the report is before us here. The purported total accreditation did not exist. This such number of people did not come out. From the trend so far, we have seen that turnout in most of the elections have ranged between 30 to 40%. It has suddenly jumped to 60%. When we get to Kenya, you will see much more. We have credible information as to that. The PDP agents were not allowed access to the accreditation process in most of the wards before the results were even brought here. It is going to be challenged. They will say it's not correct. They will say it's not true. But the People's Democratic Party rejects the collation result of Adabi local government being brought here. And I urge you to reject it, that there's no credibility on this document being presented to you.
Yeah, you see, can you hear me, agent? There must be a mechanism where you write formally with what, you know, this is not a court of law where we hear arguments here, pros and cons. We are working on data. And if there is any issue like that, please write. And of course, the system will take care of it. Please. But as far as we are concerned now, we will take this into record, pending when you probably forward your report.
Yes, the reports of the three local governments are coming. I have the report of Lokoja here. When we get there, I will present. And Kababunu, yes, I'm just alerting you.
Okay, please.
Thank you.
We have noted that of Adabi. And yes. Please, question. Is it a question or... No. We cannot do dialogue here. I beg. Just ask him. He has the right. Okay, ask a question. But if you start dialogue, I will stop you. Okay, please. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to...
Yes.
I just want to ask a question. It's a very simple issue.
Yeah.
There was a result that was collated for Omala local government. I'm surprised the PDP agent never said anything. But when he came to Adabi, he's raising issue. So I just want to make it very clear here that the election in Adabi local government was very, very peaceful. That's why there was a lot of turnout. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, any PW? Oh, any more questions? No, okay, yeah. PWD? Okay, no. Where? Any hand? No. Yes, please. Please, can anybody help us facilitate this microphone? Yes, wait there. Just wait where you are. Oh, okay, they want to see you. Are you an agent?
Yes.
Okay, which party?
YPP.
Okay, YPP.
The same thing applicable to what the PDP chairman agent have just said. The election in Adabi is not true with what is on the system.
So you're not clear. Repeat yourself.
I'm clear, sir.
Eh?
That the election in Adabi
yes,
is not, the result is not like this. Because the people there, we have a stronghold there, which we
thought that our voting, but they disrupt them in the election.
Okay.
They scatter the ballot paper and everything has went.
No, but he has reported incidents of, there's an incident somewhere, is it? Yes. So there are 10
even in Kuroko, the same thing.
Apart from what he's reported, you have a right also to make your report to INEC on these matters.
All right.
Very easy. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes. So, are you okay? Any more? Oh, you? Okay. No, give him. Give the, yeah. Thank you very much. So please,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so no, he knows what to do with it. So thank you very much. So the next is Igalamela Odolu. Igalamela Odolu. Sorry? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry. Can you go come? We have another here. That's it. I understand they've been waiting, so I understand, but that's number 8 years. Igalamela Odolu. Yes, 8.
Good morning, all. My name is Dr. Evans C. Ashigwike. I'm an associate professor of non-destructive testing and sensor technology. I am the Evans Ashigwike. I am an associate professor of non-destructive testing and sensor technologies of University of Abuja. I am the local government coalition officer for Igalamela Odolu LGA.
Good morning, all. My name is Sani Idris Wasi, the electoral officer Igalamela Odolu. Thank you. Sani Idris Wasi. Sani Idris Wasi.
I have 10 wards in my registration in my local government area. The total number of registered voters is 65129. 65129. Then the total number of accredited voters is 21428. 21428. The result of the collation according to party is as follows. A 05 SAC 27 AD 13 ADC 24 24 ADP 26 26 1010. Then for Akwanya is 05. The number of affected polling units is 1. The number of registered voters in that unit is 302. 302 is voters is
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Olanrewaju Samuel Olayemi. I am an associate professor of statistics. No. 03 YDP 10 YDP 5
with facts and figures. Yeah, but of course, as you understand, you will bring forward any. I don't want this dialogue again. No. Is it a question? Oh, it's a question. Okay, please. But if you start dialogue, I will stop you. Please. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think you better wait to hear. Yes.
My name is Abdulaziz Idris King, the agent for the APC. I just want to make my question is very simple. You know, they've been saying violence. Okay.
No. Please. I beg your pardon. Just please.
All right. Thank you.
If we are to go this way, we cannot make progress. Then all political parties will start.
The issue is him you need to talk to, because if he's asking a question against my party, when I know he's lying,
you are right also, because he didn't ask a question. He actually made a comment.
Because the electoral officer here has said there was no violence. He insisted there's violence. The police, the SSS, the security operative said there was no violence. So if anytime he stands up to lay wrong accusation against my party, I have to respond.
It's true. All of you have right to talk, to respond. But please, in the interest of the integrity and the good conduct of the process, let's minimize